All right. Well, welcome everyone to Career Conversations. Career Conversations is a great time. Really, just for the next hour to share with one another about career-related questions that you may have. And lately, we've been discussing how to build a job search competitive edge. And as a result of a lot of the interest that most participants have raised, this topic is one of the most important issues that students in grads are faced with. It's one of the top things that they ask career services for help with. So if you are joining us and you want to introduce yourself, you can do so in the chat, or you can do so by taking yourself off mute or turning your camera on. Yeah, welcome. Glad you're here. Career Conversations is a weekly drop-in hour from 11 to 12 that we have launched for each semester with a little bit of a focus each time, but it's an opportunity to connect with the expertise of career consultants, employment resource officers, guest speakers, while networking with other student participants. You can sign up for this either through the Community Hub or on our Georgian Connects. Go to the career section and you can also find the events there to sign up with that. So if you would like to hear a little bit more about this topic that we covered over the last 2 semesters on building a job search competitive edge, please go to the student portal, My GC Life, and you'll actually see under our video recordings some of the selections that we have there, including building a job search competitive edge. You'll see a recording there where you can cover that in a little more detail. A couple of weeks ago, February 18th, we actually had an inspiring guest share a heartfelt story about how she used her program as an inaugural game design and simulation diploma student. She used the program to build her career brand in her portfolio. So to hear how she pursued freelance work to carve out her unique focus while studying at Georgian, you can listen to the YouTube recording at the link on the screen, really to get some inspiration. So you can also hear about some of the government-funded internships that could contribute to your career success. So go to the YouTube link there, or again, if you wanted to go to the recordings that we have listed on the student portal, you can find that on our page on My GC Life as well. Last week, Rebecca and I covered some updates on the My Interview practice. And there's some AI simulation feedback options that can be utilized with that platform where you can do some practicing with your interview yourself, and you can actually share that with others to get some tips and tricks on that. So that's sort of some of the things that we've been covering the last couple of weeks. But today, I'm very excited to have a guest of ours join us, Drishti Tiwari, who is actually joining us online to share some interviewing preparation tips, some great information from her own experience and what she's done. And Drishti is a grad of Georgian, as well as one of our former job search coaches. So I'm really excited for Drishti to join us today to share some of the tips that she has put together. And while Drishti's talking, I'm also going to refer to some of these materials as she goes through this, but I'm going to let Drishti take it from here and introduce herself as we get going.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity today to meet everyone again. And hello, everyone. So my name is Drishti Tiwari, as Sean already mentioned, and I am a graduate of Georgian College. So I started my journey with marketing management. It's a postgraduate certificate, and then I did human resources management. And previous to that, I have a bachelor's degree in business administration in back home. I'm from India, so from India. So I started my journey with marketing, then human resources, and now in career development. So I transition between many different fields and try to understand different techniques, like how people are in learning those things. So when I started with human resources, I learned about interviewing, like what is interviewing, how it works, and how it feels like to sit in the opposite side of the chair and taking interviews. What things as an interviewer I'm going to think about the person who is giving the interview. So I have those kind of things that I can share, that you can keep in mind while giving the interviews. And recently I also landed a job because of those things. And the main thing is the my interview practice. So whenever I'm practicing my interview skills, I always use that website or software. So that's really helpful. So I'm a former job search coach as well, and I have worked with Sean, with Rebecca, and other job search coaches. That team is really amazing. You will learn a lot. And whenever you feel stuck in between your job search, in your career development, and if you feel like lost how to start something, how to transition into something else, then go for them and just try to talk and just try to communicate what's your problem, where are you feeling stuck, and they will definitely going to help you. And college provide you a lot of resources. Try to use those resources and try to participate in each and every event that college is providing you. So I think these
And
are
we
the
didn't
main
even pay her to
things.
say that. We didn't even pay her to say that. Okay, so just so you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, that's my experience. That's my the yeah, definitely he didn't pay me anything. So that's my experience, and I really felt grateful for that. Because I learned a lot with their help, with other things that college provides. So I would suggest each and every student to use those resources, start using resources, and look for new things. This will definitely going to help you build your confidence, and will help you to talk to new people. And when you start talking to new people, you will get that habit of talking to interviewers, because those are new people too. So when you're going to talk to them, you will be more comfortable, you will be more friendly, and it will be not very pressurized moment then. Yeah. If you have any questions for me, then you can ask me. And Sean, can you please share that interview sheet?
Sure, sure. I'll just do that now.
Yeah.
Okay, is it big enough or should I make it a little bit bigger?
Yeah, can you make it a little bit bigger?
Okay,
Yes.
is that good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just a little bit of recap. When I was studying human resources, I need to have a co-op. So my interview journey starts with co-op, like my Canadian interview journey. So I started looking for different kind of YouTube videos of how to give interviews, and if there is any tips and tricks and how to impress the interviewers. So those things I really look into, and that's how I created this sheet. And I'm going to discuss some of the interview questions, types of interview questions. So the first one, the main one, is resume based and the open-ended question. These are the starters. So every time you're giving the interview, these are the first questions you can say that the interviewer is going to ask you. It will be open-ended, so sometimes student feels stuck, like how long I'm going to speak about myself, because sometimes students just speak too much or they speak very little about themselves. So there should be a balance between how you're going to showcase yourself in front of the interviewer. So it should not be too much. You may feel like they might get bored in between and they stop listening to you. If you are the last person to give the interview, it's so tiring, all the whole process. So I have prepared this technique to attend open-ended questions. So it's the seat method, SEAT. T. So it will going to cover these set of questions, and you need to cover all of these things in your answers, and then your answer is complete. So the basic question is, walk me through your resume. Can you tell me about yourself? I've heard this question a lot, like, can you please tell me about yourself? Let's just start this interview. Can you speak about yourself? Mm, so these are the very basic questions. So to start this, the first thing is skills and qualities. I always start with the person I am. So I start with, like, I'm a very enthusiastic person. I'm dedicated, motivated, and innovative in each and every task that I did in past. So that's how I always start my answer. And then I'm going to cover a little bit of my education. That's the experience and education section. Then I'm going to, not too deep, because they will definitely going to ask you questions about your experience. So just a brief, short answers, and make sure that you are matching your job with your profile. So if you're applying for a certain specific role, you need, and you have experience in different kind of role. So whenever you're mentioning those experience, try to match those qualities that will help you to perform good in that particular job that you're giving the interview for. So by matching the skill set is really important while giving this answer. Then you going to talk about your experience, then achievement and awards. You can always mention, if you don't have too much experience to showcase, if you are feeling like I don't have much to speak, then definitely you're going to add your achievements or awards that you have ever received. Even you have any kind of volunteer work, if you have been the volunteer for orientation in Georgian college, then definitely you're going to mention that. It will showcase your teamwork and your different type of skills, your communication skills. So try to mention all those little things, because the interviewer is not going to know about you beforehand. So you need to speak to let them know about you. So you need to speak everything that you feel like that you are competent enough. So uh, and then there will be like the type of person you are. You can always mention your skills and qualities in between the answers while you are speaking your education, your experience, that I am very uh, hardworking person, I am very innovative, I really like marketing, I'm a very people person, I like to talk. So you can always mention those kind of things. But what type of a person you are for the company. So you need to mention, like, why they need to hire you, basically. So if you have any kind of specific, any special quality that you feel like is really important for that job. If you're applying for a customer service job and you like to talk a lot, you have really good communication skills, you have experience in customer service already, and even though you have an experience in call center, you have taken a lot of calls, so you can always mention those things to strong your profile. uh, Also, if you are applying for any kind of role that is not in customer service setting, maybe in IT, you can say, then you can always mention that some of your projects that you have did, that you have done in your classroom. So you can always mention that, and how was your experience while doing that. If you don't have any kind of experience, then you can always mention those things too. um, so the next is behavioral based questions. So in these questions, these are mostly about your past experience, like if you have faced any kind of challenges, if you have you ever did any kind of mistake in your work, and how did you fix it, and how did you respond it to that in future. So these are the questions that going to challenge you the most, because not everyone has faced challenge, and sometimes people really forget about it. Even though they have did a really good job in their work, they don't really remember those things. So I would definitely suggest everyone to do the consideration part. So always before your interview, prepare yourself for these questions. Sit down, think about all of the challenges you have faced in your past experiences, all of the mistakes you have did. If there is any outstanding moment for you, if you have any kind of new idea that you created and uh, you helped your company to gain any kind of success. Maybe it's monetary terms, you increase the sales, or you increase the smooth transition of the department. So it can be any kind of achievement. So always think about the challenges, mistakes, but make sure that your mistake is not very impactful for your current job. So if your current job, the job you're applying for is for customer service, and your mistake was you misbehave with the customer, so this is not an appropriate mistake to showcase in this job interview. So maybe you can mention I did mistake with logistics. So that's why you need to think about all of your mistakes and all of your challenges, so you can pick the best mistake and challenge to showcase in front of the interviewer and for that specific job. So people think like we can mention our mistakes and it will give really bad impact, but that's not the case. So when you are mentioning your mistake, the interviewer wants to know about yourself, that you are giving an honest answer, as well as what you did to recover that mistake and what did you learn from the mistake. So this is not about the interviewer wants to know your mistakes, your bad part, your negative side, but the interviewer wants to know how did you improve it, and uh, what kind of steps you take to improve those things. So whenever you're mentioning your challenge, your mistakes, your negative side, then make it very short. Keep it always very short, and mm, and explain more about how did you overcome those challenges, how did you overcome those mistakes, what was your future steps, and are you doing anything, or are you doing something to improve it for the future as well. So I can give you one example. So for myself, one of my challenge was, mm, uh, yeah. So one of my challenge was whenever I'm working with the team, I am kind of a person who likes to do their work in a very strict manner. So if the deadline is on 5th, I will complete my task on 3rd. But it's not the same with everyone. So sometimes I can create pressure for other team members. So that's my kind of a challenge part. And I always mentioned it how I learned about different kind of personality types. I learned it in my co-op as well from Sean, the type focus, and different type of personalities, as well as in my program in human resources. So after learning those things, I understand, and I am more empathetic in towards other people who are different personality type than me. So I try to put myself in their shoes and try to understand, like, if I am that kind of personality, if I have that kind of personality, I'll not able to do those things. So though that's my like cover up part, that's the challenge I have faced, and that's the things I am doing to improve myself. So always mention your challenges, mistakes. Don't feel very disheartened whenever you are talking about that. Always be very proud of showing your bad side, as well as if you are showing your bad side, you should do something to improve it. So that's the main thing that interviewer is looking for. And there is a specific thing that you can use. This is STAR method, that is situation, task, action, and result. So this will help you to formulate your answer. So whenever you're talking about any kind of behavior question, you always need to mention situation. What was the situation? Always describe it, because the interviewer don't know what was the situation. You have faced it, so you need to explain each and every part of it to the interviewer so that they can understand it well. So you need to showcase, you need to speak about the situation. What was the situation? How many people are involved? With whom you are discussing with those things. So I have mentioned like the situation was in my project when I was doing human resources. I was with my team. So you have mentioned the situation. Then what was the task? What was your task? What was the specific problem? What needs to be done? So the task needs to be very clear so that they can understand what are you talking about basically. So later on you need to always mention the actions that you have taken. If the task was to complete the assignment, so action should be, what are you doing to complete that assignment? Are you giving some specific time? Are you using any kind of methods, strategies? So that's the action. And when you're talking about the result, always talk about the result. That's the thing most of the students miss, because when they're talking about the situation and everything, they think that that's the obvious part, that they're going to know the result, that we solve everything, that's how it goes. But no, you need to mention it. Even though it's common sense, it's really like going with the flow, we already know like this is going to happen, but you always need to mention your result. And also I would say one more step after result is like future steps. Like, what are you doing for the future too? So it will just give them brief idea like what kind of person you are. Then you will have the situation based question. So situation based question is basically imaginary situation. So they will give you some kind of a situation that you have never faced in your life. So they will just give you random imaginary things. That For example, they can tell you, so this profile is for the customer service job. There was a customer who was very angry, and he started shouting on you, he started abusing. So what you going to do in that situation? So they put you in that situation, but they don't want the complete answer. So we try to if I am in that situation, I try to start solving that situation. So I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But they don't want that. They want more of your analytical skills, problem solving skills, but they don't want a specific solution. They want different solutions that you were looking for. So if this kind of a situation happens to me, I would definitely going to tell that I will keep myself very polite even in that situation. If they were shouting on me, I try to understand the customer, try to empathize the customer, try to understand what the situation is. I'm not going to take any kind of action before knowing the situation. And the further step it would be, I'm going to call my manager if I'm not able to handle that situation. So you need to think about all of the outcomes. You don't have to just go in one single way. So sometimes student can give this kind of answer. So if if I'm going to face that kind of customer, I'm just going to calm them down, and now they are fine. So this is not going to happen. So you need to think all the situations, like it can go worse, it can go good. If you don't know what to do, so what you're going to do, so you need to answer in every directions. So these questions are some kind of sometimes very challenging to students, because it's like you can't prepare for these questions. These are very on the spot questions. So you need to be very attentive. You need to think really fast. Yeah, one more tip. So whenever you're going to answer any kind of a question, try to listen to them very in a very attentive manner. Try to catch all of the keywords, because when I started giving the interviews, I got lost. So if an interviewer asking me a question that's of three sentences, three lines, and I'm listening to the question, there are so many parts in the question, I got lost and I forgot what the question is about. Then I ask them to repeat. That's not a bad thing. You can always ask them to repeat the question. They will definitely and happily repeat it. But you need to make sure that you are catching all of the keywords and you are talking about that only. Otherwise, they will think that you don't have a good listening skills. Other thing, after listening that question, take a moment and think about it. Don't feel pressurized that they asked the question and now you directly need to start answering it. No, that's not the situation. You can take some time, you think about it, and then you're going to speak. It will showcase that you are thinking before speaking anything. So and it will make your answers more genuine instead of like you have prepared everything. So make it very casual, not completely casual, but make it very natural whenever you are giving any kind of answers. And make sure the interview checklist, so it's like the basic thing to prepare before the interview, during the interview, and after. So before, just make sure that if it's in person, take extra copies of your resume. So it can happen that there are panel in the panel there are 3 or 4 person, but they only have one resume. So it will give you, if it will give them a good impression if you can just distribute some of your resumes. If you feel like, you can ask them, do you need a copy of my resume? If they said yes, then that's a plus point. So you need to find, yeah, so that's the question. That's the thing, you need to find about the employer's need. That's really important thing to do your research about the company, about the employer, about the people you are going to meet. So whenever I'm going to go for an interview, you will get an email, and in that email, everyone is CC'd. The panel member is CC'd. So try to look those people on LinkedIn. Try to connect to them on that very spot so that they know. Uh, so if for say like the next day you have the interview and beforehand you followed them and you just start commenting on their post, liking, so they will feel like this person is really active on LinkedIn and they did their research too. So it will give them a really good impression. And even after interview, I try to connect with a lot of panel members, and they show me a really good response, like, that's really nice to connect with you, today's interview was good. So it gave me a starting point of like talking. um, Also, so after completing the interview, they will going to ask you, do you have any questions for us? So never say no, I don't have any questions. It will feel like you are very disinterested, you are not interested enough to prepare some questions for them. But try to always prepare 1 to 2 questions, and the question should be really specific for the industry or the company. So in past 2 or 3 interviews, I have prepared some really amazing questions, and for those questions we have like a debate or like a discussion in my interview session. So that discussion was only for like 20 to 30 minutes, and we were just talking, discussing about things. And I think that was a really important part, that they feel where they were very interested in me, because they feel like that I'm very interested in the job that I wanted. So always prepare some questions that create some conversation, or not debate but the conversation. You will learn, you can learn about their opinion, you can give your opinion. It can be like exchange of ideas. So I think preparing question mm, is really important in your whole interview. So that part can definitely give you the job, and it will show you what kind of a person you are. So you need to be very well prepared for that section. After that, I usually sometimes do I do closing statements. So whenever I'm done with interview, I just ask them, so just to close this interview, I just wanted to let you that I feel like I believe I am the great candidate for this position, talking about and just giving the conclusion of all of the things that we have talked about. I just going to tell them that with this experience, with these kind of skill set, I feel like I am a really competent candidate for this position. I am really interested in working with you guys. So by giving that closing statement, it will create a really positive ending. It's like a positive end note of your whole interview. So the interviewer feel very comfortable with you. So make sure that you are making the eye contact with the interviewers while you are giving the interview. Don't feel like you are talking, you're looking at your phone, you're speaking, you're looking at somewhere else, you are speaking. Make sure that you are speaking uh, sometimes slow so that they can understand what you are speaking, because there are times that where you are talking to someone else, they have different accent and you have different accent. Maybe we think that they can understand us, but that's sometimes that's not the case. So you need to speak slow sometimes and clearly so that they can understand you. um, and it's not a bad thing. And it's not a question for your English or something. It's just with different accent, with different people, and you definitely going to work with diversity. It will showcase that you are very interested and you are a very good candidate to work with a diverse environment. So always listen very carefully to the questions, and make sure that the interviewer set the speed. So sometimes what happened, the interview started, the interviewer is going to ask you, so can you please tell me about yourself? So that's the speed of the interview. But if you're starting with, yeah, I'm going to tell you about myself, and I'm this, I'm that, I'm that. So this is really fast. So there's a reason that the interviewer set that pace. So make sure that you are following that pace so that the whole interview will go smoothly. Yeah, make sure that you have prepared some of the questions, and always after your interview, do send them after interview email. So by thanking them, so what I do, I usually prepare my thank you email by mentioning all of the things that we have discussed in my interview. So as I have mentioned, that I have prepared some of the really amazing questions, closing questions. So we had the discussion with variety of things. So I mentioned those things in my interview, in my email, that we have talked about these topics, these ideas. I really liked your ideas, and thank you so much for giving me your time and your insight. So you can always mention those things, because I have seen many students coming to me how to write after interview emails. So there is no specific way to write it, but there's just the basic things, like you need to greet them, then you need to start the sentence. So but make sure that whatever you are mentioning, it should be genuine. It should not look like you are just picking out the template and putting it there. And you have talked about some things and you are mentioning that in your email. That will definitely going to make some of the impact. Then after interview, if you get selected, that's a really good thing. And you can always ask them, like, what was the things that you really like about my interview? And if you are not selected, then that's fine too, because you need to give a lot of interviews and not everyone will going to say yes to you. So never feel dissatisfied. What I'm going to share my story. So from when I gave my interviews, I got selected in every interview. But when I was giving interviews for my co-op, I got rejected, and again I got rejected. And then third time I got rejected, and I was so dissatisfied. I was so disheartened, and I was thinking, like, is there something wrong with me? What happened? Why these things are happening with me? but make sure try to learn with that process. It means you are missing something, and to cover that part, ask the interviewer of what was the thing that they didn't like about you, and how you can improve that interview. So that's the basic things. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, you take a moment there, Drishti. You've been talking a lot. You need a break there to catch your breath.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
Yeah, so I think that's the basic thing. If anyone have any questions for me, then I can answer that.
This is good. Really well done document reference sheet too. So this is something that we also have on the student portal if you want to go back and refer to it later. And you can look at a lot of the different interview resources that we do have there. But this particular tip sheet, Drishti's walking us through, really just puts it in such a concise way of all the different things you need to think about as you're preparing for the interview ahead of time. Yeah. So, and to think too, you're not just pulling the information together here to give us a great outline to look at, Drishti, but you're sharing how you actually used many of these points even recently with your pursuit. So, yeah, really helpful. This gives some of that personal approach.
Yeah. So when I was giving the interview, I feel like making it very personalized is the key. Because whenever I was giving my interviews in a very stiff environment and making it very professional, like just they're asking me questions and I'm giving the answers. That's it. So it's not giving that personal touch, and I was not able to make them feel comfortable, and that's what they're looking for in the candidate. But for my recent interviews, I was very much open, comfortable. I was talking to them. It's like we are having a discussion, not the interview. So I believe making them comfortable is the key of like getting the job.
Yeah, it's so true, and it really needs to be a two-way exchange. We forget that, right? But in the interview is something that is both good for you as well as for the employer. Sometimes we think it's just because the employer needs to meet with us after we've submitted our application and resume, but it's also a good opportunity for you, which I'm really glad you mentioned about even having questions prepared ahead of time because in that case, that you're taking them by surprise. They've been taking you by surprise the whole time, and now it's your time to turn the tables, right? So yeah, as I was mentioning, if you want to go on the student portal, My GC Life, and go to the Career Co-op Field Placement Resources page, and then look at the interview resources. And we've got a whole bunch of different links on here, but this particular tip sheet that Drishti's been walking us through is the interview tip sheet that's on the student portal. So feel free to go back to that later, and it's a great opportunity. And if you want to get a copy of the recording of our time together today, we will be posting that down the road. But Drishti, this is incredible because last week we actually went through the My Interview Practice platform, which you also made reference to in your conversation here, your points. So, it kind of builds on that as well. We've had a couple of different career events and career fair recently. So some students, will be having some interviews on for that, and it's just an ongoing, skill. It's an ongoing
Yeah.
competency that we need to continue to build. Matter of fact, someone could get the next job that's going to land them into a grad job, but then they may continue building in their career management and looking at expanded roles and leadership roles, and they'll have to keep interviewing for years down the road. So, this is something that can set you up for success as you prepare for what that future, might look like.
True. And I think you can record your mind in my interview practice. You can record your interview, and uh, that's like with AI. There will be different, very natural questions, and you can record it, and you can send it to you guys, and you can see that. I think it's within the system,
Yeah,
so that's a
yeah,
really
yeah.
good
So
thing.
So, for those of you who want to go back to the session that Rebecca and I hosted last week, you can go on to our recorded workshops and go on to the My Interview details and set up yourself up with an account, and it shows you how you can do all of that. So, well, this has been really good, Drishti. Thank you so much for connecting with us and continue to connect with us too as we follow your career success in the days to follow. And
Mhm.
so, for those of you who have been able to join us or you're watching this recording, thank you for taking the time to hear this. And we hope this has been some great resources and inspiration for you as you move forward. Just before we go, I just want to mention that for those of you who are joining live, next week we will be having another guest speaker. We're going to be having Angelina Asturi. She is both a professor and a field placement coordinator with the paralegal and law clerk programs at Georgian College. Incredible insight she has that she's going to be sharing on some tips and recommendations on your career pursuits. So if you want to join us next week, please register through either the Community Hub on the Learning Hub, or you can also join us or register, sorry, and get more details on Georgian Connects as well. So there's a couple places where we put that. So that's what we'll be doing next week. So thank you for joining us today, everyone. I'm going to stop the recording here now, and
Uh,
please
Sean,
look forward to seeing us again. Yes, go ahead, Drishti.
Sean, before stopping the recording, just one more thing. Most of the students feel like they should not use AI to prepare for their interview, but I would recommend you to use AI for that. Put your job description into AI and ask it to prepare some of the questions and answers too, and prepare with that. I have prepared with AI with like for all of my interviews, and that is amazing.
Excellent. Good point. Yeah, yeah, good way to prepare for that. And those kind of AI features are also built into the updates of My Interview Practice as well. So a couple of ways that you can pursue and utilize those kinds of AI tools in your job search as well. Good point. Thanks, Drishti.